Welcome to Food and Loathing. Is everybody hungry today?
I hope so.
It smells like fucking cookies in the house.
Not for long, I will be.
Don't worry, if you aren't hungry at home and you can't smell the cookies, I feel pretty certain you're going to be hungry by the end of this episode one way or another. This is Las Vegas's top podcast for restaurant and dining news, Food and Loathing. We've got gossip, we've got opinions, we've got it all. I'm Al Man. We got cookies.
We got cookies.
Cookies coming out the old wazoo, as they say.
Sugar cookie, frosting
I'm Al
cream.
Mancini. I'm one of your hosts on this culinary adventure. Keeping me honest is my amazing co-host Samantha Gemini Stevens. And making sure it all gets on the air with a mouthful of cookie is our engineer Rich Johnson. We're all together in person once again this week. That's always a lot of fun. That's why Gemini brought the sweets.
That's right.
How are you guys? We having fun yet?
Absolutely. The weather's beautiful. We've got, again, for the 14th time, we have cookies.
Yeah, we're going to figure out what you arrived at my house at like 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning
That's
with
right.
cookies, man.
Well, you've talked about these Crave cookies so often.
Because they're weird. They're not like
and I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
So we have like teeny tiny little chocolate chip ones that are fresh out of the oven. We have something called a crookie, which is a cookie, their chocolate chip cookie on top of a croissant. That one with all the stuff on it kind of looks like a turtle brownie. I think they call that one better than sex. There's a strawberry sugar something.
Yeah. I've seen the people who make those cookies. I'm not really sure that I trust their judgment.
Yeah.
There's a black forest something, a Pop-Tart something, and a fudge chocolate volcano or whatever the hell they call that stuff.
There's a big-ass butter cookie with pink buttercream frosting on top. I
Sugar
took half,
cookie,
and
baby.
that's enough to put me right into diabetic
I was just
coma.
referring because they're very young.
That's true, too.
That's all I was saying. Nothing about their looks or anything like that.
No, they're very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not a soda drinker per se, but they...
No, but if you want extra bonus sugar in
Seriously,
your soda,
they have got a custom cocktail program just for soda pop. It's amazing.
Ooh, I might try that.
It's just around the corner. So yeah, get in there. It's if that's your thing, go check it out. They've got some really cool looking flavors. It's just not the kind of stuff I like to drink.
Right.
So
I'm told that's a big Utah vice.
Oh, okay.
Sugared soda.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't have caffeine.
Yeah, no Coke.
You also can't have the aforementioned better than sex.
Right.
We were just talking about
Yeah.
until they're married.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Or alcohol.
They get all sugared up.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Yeah. So yeah, go to Crave. This is amazing.
Yeah. I may be talking the whole episode like this because I can't get it out of my mouth.
Damn, Rich. Love it. I just had a little bit of the mini cookies. It's pretty good. One thing you'll say about these Crave cookies is like whatever the flavor is, whatever either it would be the topping or it would be the stuffing and any other thing, it just fucking overloads.
Oh, it does.
Right?
Yeah.
This is just if it's stuffed with something like that's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Again,
It's
Crave
like
cookies.
Waffle House hash browns. They stuff it, they cover it, they smother it. They
name Hootie and the Blowfish albums after
That's
it.
right.
Speaking of which, you're traveling a lot and you're heading back to Oklahoma City, where I believe there are some Waffle Houses.
There are.
Right?
I drove by one the other day. I have not been in yet, but I have been to Waffle House
Next
before.
week we want a review.
You got it.
Okay.
Make sure you wear a Kid Rock t-shirt or something.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. We've got
We
a
got
great
way
episode.
off the rails.
Yeah.
Main Street Provisions has a new executive chef, Ellie Parker, somebody with more colorful hair than myself.
I saw that,
love
yeah.
that. I had a nice little chat with her, and I'll be sharing that with you in the center of this show. Also, some news from Mimmo Ferraro and some new promotions going on at that landmark Italian restaurant. Before we get into any of that, we tell you how we've been eating recently beyond cookies and sweets. Gemini, you want to start for us this week?
I do. So, people have heard us talk about Ciao Vino before. We recorded there when they were getting ready to open. We tasted, a few like preview items, and I did go to a wine dinner. But I went the other day for brunch because I hadn't been in yet for brunch, and I absolutely loved it. I took my husband, I took another friend of ours that I haven't seen in a while, and it was really good. I got what they called eggs in purgatory, which many others might call a shakshuka. Yeah. One of my favorite things. I liked it because the tomato sauce was light and bright, but not raw, because I don't like it when they don't cook tomato sauce enough, but I don't like it when you can just taste and feel it's been a little cooked too much. So theirs is really, really well balanced.
Like Goldilocks point?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, right? The porridge thing. I wanted it a little bit spicier, but they're more Italian, not necessarily the Mediterranean or anything like that. So it was still really good. The eggs were poached perfectly.
See, the big difference, I would say, between when you get a shashuka and an eggs in purgatory is, wouldn't an eggs, and I'm thinking out loud here,
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong. All you people out there that love telling me when I'm wrong, I'm sure I get something fucking wrong here. But you would use more of a Calabrian chili oil.
Yeah,
Italian
yeah.
one, right?
So with Italian, I would
and
go
that has a very
Calabrian.
distinctive
It does.
spice flavor. It really does.
So, and then if you're going more Mediterranean, you'd think harissa and things like that. But still, even without the extra spice that I like, it was really good. The herbs and all the different flavorings were really nice. The eggs, again, were poached perfectly, so still be a bit runny into the sauce once they're cut, but there's still enough there that you can bite into, which I appreciate. It comes with 2 lovely toasted, almost like toast points of their focaccia, which, if you haven't had it, it is very good. But in this case, they griddle one side of it a little bit extra, so you get that extra toasty, crunchy bit, and then the soft focaccia on the other side. Really good, dipped in everything when you're eating it. I also asked for a side of their fennel sausage. And it came out a little bit like a smash burger. Like it was, instead of a cased sausage or a patty, it was something they threw on the grill. They definitely, paddled it down.
That's interesting.
I asked if they made it in-house because it seemed like it was. The texture, you can see the big pieces of herbs and fennel and things like that. They said no, but it was made special for them. So I really appreciated that. I loved it. The flavor was super good. Didn't dry out. Like stuff like that, you're always scared of when it sits on a griddle too long. Yeah. It absolutely worth it. My friend Lee got the breakfast pizza, and I got to have a bite of that, and I'm really glad I did. The crust is on the thinner side, but it's got a good crisp bite with some chew. The bechamel was perfectly seasoned, and it says they're prosciutto, but to me it was a little bit more like a speck. And the difference is the speck is smoked, and for me it's usually cut a little bit thicker, not always, so that's okay. But I really liked it. The smoky flavor I think was perfect. And the whole thing just tasted great. He asked for some red sauce on the side, ended up not needing it because he was just worried it might be a little dry. Right. It was not. And then John got what seemed pretty basic at first, which was their avocado toast. It looks like just sandwich bread.
Aren't we at war with avocados or something right
something,
now?
yeah.
Really sure what the hell
if you can't afford your eggs, you have to give up your avocado toast or something. Yeah. Anyway, it was fine. It tasted good, but it wasn't. I wouldn't go there for the avocado toast. It just seemed with a place that does such good crust and such good focaccia, I was expecting something maybe a little bit more on that bend, and that wasn't it. And then I also tried what they call their Ciao Mosa, and basically my idea is that it is a screwdriver and a mimosa had a baby. If those are your thing, go for it. It was a little too much orange juice for me. You couldn't actually taste that it was trying to be a brunchy cocktail. So I was like, yeah, okay. It was fine, but not great.
So wait. So it's orange juice,
vodka, Prosecco, and I think there was another sweet liqueur in there, but the orange juice just took over. So any of the nuance from the other stuff was a little bit...
Yeah, that acid will just...
Yeah. So, but also my idea of a mimosa is just waving the bottle of orange juice near the champagne and not putting it in. So, maybe I'm not the right person to ask on an orange juice drink. I like orange juice by itself.
It's kind of funny, if I may digress.
Please.
Here. In the old days, I remember we'd go out for really dirt cheap, all you could drink champagne brunches,
Absolutely.
all you could drink mimosa brunches, right?
Yeah.
I could tell you the places in Brooklyn I used to go by the promenade. But, of course, you always wanted them to be poured strong.
Yeah.
What I discovered was, as I kept going to cheap ass all you can drink brunches, is the orange juice costs a lot more than the mediocre bubbles that they pour into it. So in this day and age, unless you're getting real French champagne, they'll make it as strong as you fucking want, because whatever domestic bubbles they're fucking using cost nothing compared to the price of orange juice.
Chateau Corbel, all you can want.
Oh man.
But so I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry, I apologize if you haven't finished.
No, it's okay.
How's the brunch set up over there? That was my backup brunch on Sunday. I was going to go if I couldn't get into one
Honey
other
salt?
spot where I went to. Yeah, Honey Salt. But I didn't know the details. I didn't look up the details. So they do is there's an a la carte brunch over at Ciao
it's an
Vino?
a la carte brunch. It starts at 10 a.m., I believe it is. We got there around 10:15, 10:30. So they do recommend reservations. It was quiet when we were there, but we made a reservation just in case since we hadn't been yet. But yeah, it's an a la carte menu. It's not over the top. There's, I would say, 8 or 9 or 10 things to choose from, and then they've got some sides, and you can do, bready breakfast. You can do pizza. You can do eggs. They had basic breakfast, like if you're just a bacon and eggs kind of guy.
If you're rich.
Yes.
And then if you wanted to get into other things, they had, some Italian versions of that. So yeah, it's a good choice. It's not a huge menu, but it's a menu for everybody, I think.
Cool.
I also went to Nora's on Flamingo, not far from Rainbow.
Nora's, yes.
For years, I have to admit, I think that I've been mixing that place up with somewhere else because I walked in and realized I had never been there.
It's a goddamn landmark.
I know.
And there's a dam out, by the way, in Boulder City around here, if you haven't seen that.
Yeah. Named after one of our worst presidents.
Right? So I went to...
What did you think it was?
I don't know.
You do know that this is a relatively new Nora's. The building that they're in now, they built from scratch probably about 10 years ago.
Right, but even 10 years. Yeah. So maybe I'd been, but it's not been in the last 10 years. That's the biggest takeaway here is that because I got there and I parked and I got really lucky on parking because it's not a huge parking lot. And I went, what the hell? Where did I think I was going? Like I'm talking to myself out loud because it's ridiculous. But we went, as I've talked about before, one of my best girlfriends, Willow, just celebrated her 50th birthday. She had a birthday coupon and she knew that I was on my own last night. Said, you want to go to dinner? I said, yeah, let's go. So yeah, I have to admit, I walked in, I loved it. Even just walking in, I loved it. It was a little bit warm in there, but other than that, so we chose a really mixed menu, which made me happy because I wanted to try so many things. And there's just two of us. And I don't really do the leftover thing much. I'm really picky about my leftovers, but also I was supposed to be traveling, so I didn't want to bring anything home and then just have it sit in the fridge. So we started with, she chose the steak and arugula bruschetta, which was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's on the bread that they do so well, and it wasn't soggy. It was sort of crisp and a little bit charred, and the meat was cooked perfectly. The arugula had a little smoky bit, which I'll get to on another dish in a little bit. But the seasonings, I mean, one bite, and I was sold. I wanted to just keep eating it. So then you get 4 huge servings on the board. So one order of that can easily satisfy 4 people at the start of a meal. You get that and a glass of wine or whatever. That could be your appetizers unless you want even more than that. So I went ahead, I asked the waiter, should I have I wanted the bone-in veal chop. I didn't know if I should have it plain or Parmigiana style. I can go either way on that. I'm usually, when I get a chunk of meat like that, I want it to be plain. I want it to just be the meat and, if there's a sauce or something. And he goes, trust me, go for the Parmigiana. So I did. So glad I did. Veal was super tender. The sauce, again, like I was saying about the other restaurant, this one had way more flavor. I mean, Nora's knows what they're doing. Had a lot more flavor, had a lot more of the herbs and spices I expect from something like that, really cooked down well. And what I liked about it is that the mozzarella and the Parmesan on top were not overpowering. I see these things on TikTok and you've got cheese pulls that are...
They're designed for TikTok, not for eating.
I know. And this one was designed for eating. So it wasn't overpowering. It was really, really delicious. And then, so I had that. And I wanted to bring up the smoky thing again because the spinach that came on the side, super simple. I didn't need any extra pasta or anything. Smells and tastes like it went through the Josper grill a little bit because I know they have one of those in the back for some of their meat cuts. I bit into it. It was smoky, just a little bit salty, very kind of earthy, and the spinach still had a bite to it. It wasn't mushy because this is a call out to almost every freaking restaurant I've been to lately that serves spinach. It tastes like it's been frozen and then recooked. Ooh. So this was not that. This was fresh. It was really, really great. We also saw on the menu, and I had to look up because I didn't know this word, farcita.
Farcita?
Yeah. I looked it up really quick, and it was showing me some sort of bread, almost like a focaccia or something like that. I asked the waiter, and I'm glad I did. It's actually a rope sausage. It was amazing. Very thin sausage, coiled up in the rope, done, all the herbs and spices you can think of that go into a really great, like Italian sausage. Really robust flavors, not that mild thing at all. Not spicy at all, but spiced well. The crisp on the casing that they use, fantastic. Again, probably a little bit in that grill because it gets some of those smoky flavors, a little bit of char on some of the bits. Almost didn't get it. Glad we did. Came with some roasted vegetables. It's listed in the mains, but we used it as like an appetizer and really, really loved it. And then the last thing we had there is she ordered the chicken piccata. I've said multiple times I don't usually order chicken while I'm out. It just tends to get really dry. I love all of my chef friends, but I just usually won't do it. This was so good. The chicken itself had flavor. It wasn't just the piccata, which was beautiful. The butter and the lemon and the capers and the garlic. Oh my God. So yeah,
So Nora's, now you've been.
I'm in love. Yeah, I can see myself sitting at the bar with any one of those dishes and some wine, but especially that damn bruschetta or that sausage, and just, hitting a couple people up going, I'm at Nora's for like a late lunch, early dinner, happy hour. Here we go.
I would say
I'll be by for that.
Okay, done.
I would say that if we were going to look at like the old school Italian restaurants that
Yeah.
have been doing it in the hoods in Las Vegas
Yeah.
forever, or off the strip at
Yeah.
least, right? So I would say you've got Nora's, you've got Gaetano's,
Yeah.
you have Piero's, and you have Ferraro's.
Absolutely.
And I would say that among them, maybe Ferraro's and Gaetano's seem to be the more current keeping ones. Like,
Okay.
in other words, I think they travel to Italy to get more modern spins on things.
Sure.
But still, they blend it so that old timers will still get what they like.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I would say that there's a few less, no disrespect, but a few less of those modern touches when you go to a Nora's, and more of just like the
Yeah, it was
dishes
very
they've been cooking for a
classic.
long,
Yeah.
long,
The
long
usual
time.
suspects.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a usual suspecty place, but it's a restaurant that's so fucking good.
But
I
in
mean,
such a great way. Like
they've been
I
doing it
was
since what, the 80s, the 70s,
something like
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
fucking know. Yeah,
and
man.
just so shout out to everybody. And the service was really great. We didn't say it was her birthday or anything like that. Somebody heard me wish her happy birthday just as a toast. They brought her a little tiramisu at the end.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, everything about it was good. I love how it's appointed. And they were fucking packed. Inside, outside, they had a wedding going on at the same time. Like this place was rocking,
they're a
and we
fucking
showed up
machine,
at 5
man. Yeah.
o'clock, and I'm going, holy. So, but yeah, highly, highly recommend it. So glad that I finally went, or at least went in the past 10 years now. And yeah, I will definitely be back.
Cool.
Yeah, how about you?
Anything else? Rich, what do you got, man?
Oh, man, it was kind of a spare week for me going out, but I did some quality kitchen time. New batch of chicken soup using the leftovers from a whole chicken that
Always
I cooked
the
in my
best way
air
to go.
fryer. I'm still getting used to some things on the air fryer. I love it. The chicken was a little hit and miss. I made a rookie mistake of cranking up the heat too high, like 380. So it was nice and crispy on the outside, but like just around the bone. It was still a little raw. So a couple minutes in the microwave fixed that up. I'll fix that up. 340 tops.
I just feel chefs around the valley right now that
I
are just
know.
cringing. Gemini's about to spit
I almost
iced tea.
spit, I almost
Okay.
spit my iced tea.
That's where I would put it on a conventional oven, and I need to dial it down for an air fryer.
Okay.
I know that now. Okay. I was, however, happy with my very basic rub: salt, pepper, smoky paprika, garlic powder, mixed in olive oil, rubbed all over the thing.
Lovely.
And it worked out. 2/3 of the time breast down, last third breast up. Worked out. And I had a lot of leftover that I put in the chicken soup. And I always cut off the wings, make a little stock.
Yep.
And that makes my gravy.
There you go.
And that was wonderful. Out of the house, 3 good meals. I decided it was finally time to test my theory that Windy City Beef and Dogs was as good as anything I had during my time in Chicago.
Okay.
And I was not disappointed.
Okay.
Italian beef did the job, and whatever purveyor is supplying the bread for that joint is doing it right, because it really holds the jus and holds together when I abuse the heck out of it.
you
No,
slop
that's
it
good
on
to
and
know
it's
because
all
yeah,
messy and,
I
yeah.
like the messy and the
Oh,
dips and all the stuff,
wet.
and I hate it when the bread just falls apart and I'm stuck eating a salad.
Yeah, I like it
That's
wet,
what it ends
which
up
in
being.
Chicago vocabulary means you dip the entire sandwich
Yeah.
in the jus, then dip it again, and then I always have a little on the side to dip it bite by bite as well.
Yeah.
Windy City Dogs on Westlake
Maybe I'll
Mead.
go over there.
It's near Buffalo, the same big strip mall as Sprouts and the Michael's Crafts. Yeah. Okay. I was hungry.
Yeah, that's a landmark that's just sticking out right in my mind.
Right?
Yeah. It wasn't
That's
Hobby
quilting
Lobby.
I dropped by there.
Yeah, I was hungry for pizza when I was downtown over the weekend. My choice among the big 3 pizza places downtown was dictated by parking.
Parking. Yes.
Big Asian Festival was going down
Oh,
at
that's
the
right.
downtown event center. Parking a little of a challenge, but I lucked out. Found a spot on Second between Stewart and Ogden, so I turned around the corner, and there's Pizza Rock.
Pizza Rock.
Yeah.
We love you.
I got a slice of the pizza du jour, which was a pepperoni sausage veg combination, and a slice of Hawaiian which is very generous with pineapple and the ham. They also put bacon on it. I can do without the bacon, but it was okay. They also put on fresh pineapple. It's not chunks out of a can. It's like slices of the
wow,
rings.
okay.
Yeah. So that was very cool. Speaking of the other great place, or one of the two other great places, Pop-Up Pizza, a little news.
Yeah.
Premature news, they're moving.
Oh.
Where they headed?
The other side of the casino at the plaza. There was a breakfast place years ago called Brightside that
I
was
think I remember
almost
that.
right next to the big breakfast place, which Hash House to Go-Go.
Yeah.
It closed like 4 years ago, and it's been an empty space. They're going to move that over there, so it's bigger. It's still going to be counter service, not a sit-down order restaurant like Pop-Up has. And then they're going to do something in the old Pop-Up space, maybe a burger concept. It's still a little unconfirmed. I know this because while I haven't done it for a year, the Plaza podcast on the corner of Main Street is still going strong. The current edition is their 5-year anniversary. We started that just before
podcast,
COVID.
not
Of the
of the casino,
podcast.
yes.
No,
Yeah.
they just did 50 years. It's 54 now. And so if you've never heard that, this is a great episode to listen to. Scott Robin, Vital Vegas, is the guest. And they run through a whole bunch of good, up-to-date Vegas stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, about the Fremont Street experience, about other things they're planning, other places in town. Scott sort of calls out a couple people at Resorts World and some drama going on there. What else is
Scott's
new?
always picking a fight with somebody.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
not me,
but
I'm
it works
happy.
out. He never fights with Jonathan, even though he kind of scooped Jonathan and said, "Oh, you've got some sources I need to figure out." About the other thing. The last thing I did was a long over trip to Fort Apache at Café Breizh, the wonderful French boulangerie
Oh,
and
yeah.
patisserie. Am I
Breizh?
Breizh?
I've always called it Brezza, but I don't
Breizh?
think that's.
B-R-I-E-Z.
Yeah.
Breizh.
I always say Breeze, but
Yeah,
what
okay.
do I know? I'm not.
Cheese Danish, which has more of that wonderful yellow filling of cream cheese, egg yolk, vanilla, and lemon than any other Danish ever made in the history of Denmark. I had not one, but 2 big baguettes to go. Chop them up into 4, put them in bags, put them in the freezer. They hold up very well. A little 10-second microwave toaster. Actually, they're a little big for the toaster, and I have a pretty wide toaster because I do bagels all the time. So I butter them up, put them face down on the flat top, and put my cast iron skillet on top of them and get a really nice, smashy, buttery, toasty pieces of toast. Perfect for my, sausage and eggs over medium.
So,
Got that in.
Rich, how do you feel Gemini is tearing into a chocolate chip cookie croissant over here?
I would take issue with calling that a cookie.
Could you make one of these at your house to go with
No.
your steak and eggs, Rich?
Not with chocolate in it, no. But I will take a bite of that.
It
I don't know
tastes-
what's going on with this
thing
brown
I had.
one with all this
These
stuff
are all
on the
sort of
top.
like mini cakey
Yeah.
brownie things more than cookies.
This
Although this little bag of chocolate chippies, I'm going to try one of these.
This
That's a
croissanty
proper
one-
cookie.
By the looks
Oh.
of me tearing it apart and then biting through it,
Yeah.
it's like they took a croissant, which is really good considering it's probably been baked twice, put a chocolate chip cookie inside it, put the top back on the croissant, and then put another chocolate chip cookie on top of that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, this is really Crave Cookies
cookie
is just an
version.
overkill.
Uh-huh.
I mean, all they do is fucking overkill. This thing, I'm going
it's
into a
so good.
sugar coma from eating this one you called Better Than Sex or whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what the hell's
Brownie
going on
looking
there,
thing.
but
Yeah, it's just like the cookie version of a tofurkey. Anyway,
Tofurkey
that's it
cookie.
for me.
That's
Al,
it for
how
you?
about you?
oh, I got my mouth full of
And we're making
something
a mess.
that's better than sex.
Well, for
Don't
me
tell
these
us.
days, that's aspirational. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay, not a lot to report this week, but a lot of love for one of them, and that is Tamba in Town Square. Tamba.
Yeah.
Have you guys been?
Is that the same one that used to be over in the Hawaiian marketplace?
Wow. Look
Oh.
at you. I would say that, and we're going to hopefully have their whole team on here to come on and talk about this, right? But the guy who owns it, I guess his family owned Indian restaurants, and he opened his first
I used
restaurant.
to love that place.
Was Tamba. He said it was more of a curry house over in the Hawaiian
Yep.
marketplace, more casual. Then I believe he got out of restaurant business, even though his family was in it. Sounded like a butt ton of money in some other
Good for him.
businesses, right? And
Yeah.
decided to reopen Tamba the way that he wanted to open it. So that's what opened in Town Square. And not that long ago. And I've just been hearing great, great things about it nonstop. And for once, it lives up to the hype. It's a high-end Indian restaurant that is not afraid to incorporate the flavor palettes from India's neighboring countries.
Yes.
I can only assume that's pretty common if you live in modern India, right? Like you
That
eat
sounds
in
like
America,
it.
you get Mexican influences and shit,
Right.
right?
And since most of the people who run Indian restaurants in North America are either Pakistani or Bangladesh, it just goes to show.
Yeah. So they do a lot of influences. We've got influences from Japan, influences from Thailand, China. This is true fusion, meaning they'll cross their cultural influences within one plate. It's not like they have this menu and this menu, and then you can order them. At least that's what, to me, full fusion is.
Yes.
There's a small but full sushi section where you can find a tandoori artichoke roll and three examples.
I'm on my way for that.
Yeah, I didn't have that one, but 3 examples of a style of sushi that's known as tamari or rice ball sushi.
Yep.
So it's kind of similar to nigiri, but little crosses over into sashimi a little bit there. What did I have on those? I don't remember. Did I write those down? We'll get to them. Actually, rather than cooking their proteins exclusively in a tandoor oven or over live fire, they use a Jasper grill for their steaks and for their octopus. And while there is a full section of traditional biryani rice dishes, the kitchen also has a wok station, turning out stir-fry, black pepper beef, and a pair of fried rices that are described as being Szechuan style, but which also hit me as having a bit of traditional Indian taste in there.
Okay.
Right? So again, these flavor
You have my
palettes
attention,
are
sir.
just kind
Wow.
of mixing and matching. And then if you want the pure traditional menu, you actually have to go all the way to page 3 on the menu, and then that'll be like the traditional stuff.
Tikka masala.
Right? The chef was reportedly plucked from a high-end restaurant in Mumbai. I think it may have been a Michelin-starred restaurant. I have to check on that. And he went from there to luxury hotels in the Caribbean, where he learned to work with seafood that might not be traditional to India. So there's some very qualified people also in the front of the house working there from the Strip, people I recognized. Just seriously, this is not only one of the most creative and original menus I've had in a long, long time. It was executed to near perfection, even during this, which they're calling a soft opening period.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it only resonated on one of those 2 levels with me, either the execution or the creativity,
Sure.
I'd be in love with this fucking place. But they nail it on both, and they're a new restaurant. They still need to put some more decor in. They still need to put some art in there, but it's a beautiful room, really nice, really large. Highlights of my meal, the amuse bouche of Indian flavored oysters on the half shell that came out. Really nice. I had something called badami corn bisque, which was made with sweet corn, almond cream, cumin, ginger. There's a sesame cracker in the plate, and then they pour it at the table for you. Just beautiful presentation, beautiful plating. You can actually pay a little extra money to get lobster with that, but I had lobster in it. I think they are, yeah.
It's on the way to the airport. Yeah.
I had that tamari sushi trio, I had my hamachi came with lemongrass, strawberry curry cream, garlic, and cilantro. My salmon came with tamarind chutney, avocado, and cure de cora, which are the eggs.
Because I love tamarind so much. Oh my God.
The tuna was with a basil emulsion, seagrass, and seagrass? Yeah, that was, right. Okay, and jalapeno. I'm trying to picture it in my head. I did some lobster fried rice, again, which are supposed to be a Szechuan-style fried rice, but to me, it just had a little bit of that deeper Indian flavor profile on it. It's something called nihari gosht, which was mutton and bone gravy and whole roast spices in there with it. This is one that came in a very traditional Indian, right? They brought you a little plate of the rice and a little plate of the stuff and put together. It looks tiny, especially this was one of the pricier dishes I had, but it was still filling. Everything I had was fucking rich and super filling. Charred octopus from that Jasper with cauliflower puree, beetroot, fennel, yuzu, lime, chat aioli, orange glaze, aramanto eel sauce. I mean, I'm just reading this shit because if you can put that together into your head, I couldn't. I just looked at this on the menu. I was like, I don't know what that means, but bring it here, put it in my mouth. And it was fucking good. So I've got to call into their publicist. I think you guys may be CC'd on the email. We're going to try to either maybe record there 2 or 3 weeks or have them come in and do it. But honest God, people, if you're looking for something new, if you're looking for something a little different, you have to go to this place. You have to go to it. Is Tamara. It is
Tamba.
Tamba, sorry, yes. Yeah. Tamari was the thing. Tamba, it is in Town Square. It's a little down from the Apple Store.
Okay.
And it's easy to find. I love it. Takeout from Pier 215 one day. I think I was watching a Four Nations hockey game that
Oh,
night.
yeah.
That's been aside. I hear that's been very good hockey and fun and intense.
Oh, it's been fucking fun, man, because, I mean, it's a round robin, so it's
Yeah,
Finland,
yeah.
Sweden, U.S., and Canada, so they all have to play each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
We had the U.S. had clinched the place in the final
By the
already.
time this drops, the championship game will have happened.
Will have happened. That'll be U.S. versus Canada, but the first time U.S. and Canada met, in the first 9 seconds, there were 3 fucking fights.
Oh, my God.
It was just awesome. The entire fucking offensive line of USA just picked a fight.
Old-time
one after
hockey,
another,
I heard
man.
a little bit about this on Saturday because the friend that I had brunch with, Lee, he is a hockey fan. And so he said something. My husband asked him, "Oh, what'd you think of the hockey yesterday?" And his face just went, 9 seconds. No, we couldn't even make it a minute.
Yeah, that's a slap shot reduced.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
6 guys sitting in. I mean, I like both of the Kachucks sitting in the penalty box.
He said the first one they threw gloves like right when the
Yeah, it was as soon as it dropped.
Yeah, as soon as
yeah.
it dropped. The second one was like something else had happened in the second, and the other one was right when they were getting ready to drop it again. Bam, gloves. He's like, you couldn't. It
I mean,
just bam,
they
bam, bam, bam,
planned it in
bam.
advance. They were just like, let's get some energy. I can't wait to see what happens. in the
As
finals.
they say in the great Letterkenny spin-off Shoresy on
Shoresy
Hulu,
rules.
set the tone.
Yes.
I love Letterkenny. Now I have to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Pier 215, pretty close to my house. If I want to do takeout sushi, look, I would drive a little further to Other Mama, but I'm going to be fair there. They're better, but it's you sometimes you get like a 2-hour wait for sushi when you put in a takeout order over there.
Yeah.
So I go to Pier 215. It comes right to my house. It's a lot faster. I could drive over. It's much quicker. Yeah, we did sushi, sashimi, gyoza, all good.
Love
so
it.
you know they're solid. They're a workhorse of a seafood
And you have to
restaurant,
have
man.
places like that in your book, in your repertoire, because like you said, you can't always go to the places that it's going to be a long wait. It's going to be this. You want to know that there's a neighborhood place that's solid and you can rely on it. And I think that's amazing.
You know, it's funny. I'll go off on another side rant. Like when we run like the Neon Feast ads, right?
Yeah.
Like 10 great Vegas Italian spots or 10 great places for sushi. People always come in, pizza especially, they do this, but also Italian. They come in and they recommend their own, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell, and that's great. I love hearing
Yeah.
it. But you can tell the people that are recommending a place that is just, especially for pizza, that's just really good in their neighborhood.
Yep.
You know?
Oh,
and
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm sure that's fucking great, but I would not tell anybody to travel across town for it,
Right.
right? And as I've said, my 2 local pizza places since my move have been Brooksy's and then now Carmine's.
Absolutely.
Neither one of them is my favorite pizza in all of
No.
Las Vegas, but they're close to my house and they do
they're
great
close
fucking
and they're
pizza,
great
you know?
and they're
Yeah.
reliable, and there's a lot to be said for neighborhood spots like that. Absolutely.
So Sunday brunch, honey salt, breakfast poutine, monkey bread, tres de leches French toast with cinnamon toast crunch cereal on the top, a burger. The burger, first of all, everything's great. I love honey salt.
Yeah.
I've been doing brunch since they opened.
Had you
and-
been there since they'd done the remodel?
Yeah, I've been in there a few
Okay.
times since the remodel.
Because I like it. It looks really cool.
Everything was really, really great. I wouldn't have ordered the monkey bread if I knew they were going to send out the French toast. Just a little overkill on
Yep.
sweets. That happens. The burger is still fucking a really, really, really solid burger.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'd built it up too much in my head. I was remembering it as like one of these, that burger.
Yeah.
And it was good, but, it was probably the only thing that didn't blow me away of
Okay.
the meal. They do a brookie, which these people at Crave need to learn about, where they take a brownie and then they shove a chocolate chip cookie on
Yes.
top and they melt them together. That's also gluten-free, I think. Or no, that's vegan.
I was
Sorry,
like, how
that
do you
one's
go
vegan.
gluten-free on
That's
that? I mean,
extra
No,
gluten.
vegan. They sent that out. We did a pineapple upside down cheesecake, really
Ooh.
good. And that's about it for me now.
that sounds pretty freaking delicious. Coming up the news, Ferraro's introduces a pre-theater menu and extends its happy hour. And we have Mimmo Ferraro to tell us all about it. But first, Al sits down with Ellie Parker of Main Street Provisions. This is Food and Loading.
So I'm here at Main Street Provisions, one of my favorite restaurants in all of Las Vegas, on Main Street in the fabulous Las Vegas Arts District. And I am here with Ellie Parker, the brand new, well, I don't want to say brand new, but very new executive chef. Chef, how are you and how long have you been in this position?
I'm very good. I have been in this position since about the first of the year, actually. So just about a month and a half I've been the exec here.
Cool. I want to hear all about what you're bringing to the position, but for those who may not know you, how long have you been, is this your first job at Main Street Provisions, or have you been promoted up through the ranks? And where have you been before here that we may remember you from?
So I have been here for quite some time. I've been here almost 3 years. I actually was brought back on as a line cook under Patrick Munster, who was the executive chef. And after he left and Adrian Garcia got promoted up to exec, I moved up to the sous chef position. And then with his departure, I was brought up to executive chef. So I've definitely worked everything here. I even do the pastries here ever since I started. And before this, I was actually the opening sous chef at the Bedford by Martha Stewart in Paris, and a sous chef over at Brera Osteria inside of the Venetian.
Wow, so those are some nice restaurants. I was just at the Bedford with my parents about a week or so ago. So let's talk about, one thing that I love about this restaurant is it has had some of my absolute favorite chefs in the world come through these doors, and they all sort of leave a bit of an imprint on it. I mean, I feel like the ghosts of all of them are still here in a certain way, but they all bring also their own personality to it. And then there just seems to be a force about this place, like the spirit of Kim Owens, I feel like it is, that really defines it. So when you come into a position like this, having been here for 3 years, how much of it is, let's just keep doing exactly what we've been doing, and how much of it in your mind is, oh, there's been shit I've been wanting to do for 2 years, now I get to do it?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, every chef has an imprint. There are dishes from Justin, dishes from Patrick, dishes from Adrian, and now I get to bring my dishes to the table. And I love honoring them because I respect all of them. Patrick Munster being my biggest mentor since I was 18 years old, to Adrian Garcia, who taught me a lot when I was underneath him. And now it's my time to show this amazing neighborhood my creativity. I feel like with my age being young, I get to bring a new school flair to things, but also play homage to my roots, which would be steakhouses, and we are an emphasis on steaks right now.
Yeah, that was my next question, actually, because I have a hard time sometimes defining this restaurant to people, which is a good thing. I like bands that I can't define. I like food that I can't define, but people want to put things into a box, right? And I just feel like this is an eclectic, new American restaurant. And you go into phases where I feel it's like got a heavy steakhouse vibe, and then other phases where I wouldn't be comfortable telling people, oh, you have to go to this steakhouse on Main Street, right? So do you see this as a steakhouse or as some other kind of restaurant that just incorporates a strong steak and chops program?
I would like to say underneath me as the executive chef, I would love to say it's a steakhouse. However, we aren't just steaks. We are really eclectic, like you said, and that's what I love about this place is there are definite phases. I feel like fall, winter, it's very meat heavy. People want that. They want the warmness. But then our spring and summer months, we get to play around with amazing produce, amazing seafoods, that then just brings it into that more new age, modern American with an emphasis of steak house. So I kind of love it about this place is you can't really pigeonhole us, and that's awesome. I really embrace that.
Absolutely. So when we do talk about any place that is even vaguely associated with being a steakhouse in Las Vegas, I say that Las Vegas has probably 35 steakhouses that would be top 5 in any other city. I mean, just, without a doubt, you just look at them and you're like, oh, if this was in Philly or if this was there, like that'd be a top 5 steakhouse. And so for me, I like to see what individual niche they all come out. Some are just, it's all about the beef and you need to have cows with nose prints and, and how it was aged and how it was killed. And I love that aspect. Some try to embrace a vibe like an old Vegas vibe or a sexy nightclub vibe or whatever. So what would differentiate you in a pool of Las Vegas steakhouses?
I think it just comes down at the end of the day, we are putting out the most amazing quality products, the same quality that you're going to be getting on the Strip at a better reasonable price, but it's also kind of weird sometimes. We like to pair things that maybe you wouldn't think you would get at a traditional steakhouse. We sometimes put out dishes with Moroccan or Mediterranean flair, Mexican flair, Asian flares, and that's not something you would see at a traditional steakhouse. You're going to see American food. You're going to see Caesar salads, traditional crab cakes, steak, maybe some lobster mac and cheese. You're not going to see that here all the time. every so often, but that's what I like is we can play around a little bit, and I think people appreciate that. They can come here and get something a little kooky as well as their cut of steak that they want.
One thing I always say about this place is you walk through the doors and it really feels like Kim and the other people who have been here forever. They know the names of just about every customer some days, some nights, when it's the locals. But of course, with the growth of the Arts District, tourism has grown down here. How much do you define yourself as a locals restaurant, and how much are you seeing that shift into a tourist crowd?
50-50, I would say. I worked on the Strip my whole career, except for here, and I love it so much more because I see regulars. I see faces that I know their names. I know what they're going to order. I know they're here every Tuesday night for their date nights, and I love that. But I'm also seeing with conventions here in Vegas, we know that drives so much of it. You're seeing the people come down. They want to see the other side of Vegas, like the true local side of Vegas. I would say, though, we are a local spot for sure. This is where my friends and family are going to come eat, where Kim's friends and family are going to come eat. I come here to eat on my off days, and I think that I've never done that in any of my other restaurants. So that's something special that I want to bring my people here and enjoy the food just as well as anyone else.
As an old white guy, right? It's always a topic when I talk about things like where I'm about to go. It always feels a little awkward. Sometimes I feel I might be patronizing people. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm trying to dwell on something that isn't there. But I usually try to ask the people I'm interviewing how they feel about the topic. Having Kim as such a strong force in this restaurant, and now finally having a woman running the kitchen. Is there any intention to bring a specific kind of feminine energy in here or is that just, do you guys not see that, not worry about that gender thing?
I've never worried about gender. I mean, me growing up, I am a 5-foot-tall young female. It has not been easy in my line of field. I've been picked on. People have not wanted me there. Everything in between. It's been hard. So finding this place, finding Kim being so strong, I have nothing but the utmost respect for her. I strive to be like her, and I love incorporating females into my kitchen when they come along and if they're the right fit. But I've grown up with guys in the kitchen. They've taught me how to cook. I'm one of the boys, just kind of speaking. But I don't think we really see that feminine energy need, to bring it into the place. We're just trying to put out some really good food.
Absolutely. I do bring it up, though, because sadly, for years I ignored the topic. And then I would speak to people, and I don't want to drop names, but some of the top, women chefs in this town, they're like, no, we do need to talk about it because there sadly are not the number of opportunities that there should be. And I haven't seen the progress on that over the past 10 years that I would have thought I'd seen.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's a male-dominated field. I don't think it'll ever change, sadly. But, the women that want it, like myself, you strive for it every day, no matter the obstacles in your way, and you'll eventually get it. I mean, I never thought that this was my goal was to be an executive chef by 26 years old. I made it by 25 years old.
Damn.
And it was very difficult, but every opportunity that was put in my way, I grabbed it, and that's what I tell every single female cook or aspiring chef that I meet is just keep going through it. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck at times, but you'll get it. You'll get it. Just put the work in,
Okay, so now about 6 weeks in, I'm guessing, if we're trying to do a little math in my head, and not a good thing, but so you're about 6 weeks in. Have you already put your stamp on this menu, and is there more to come? Is there going to be a seasonal menu change that's really going to big roll out for you or something like that? Or are you just kind of inching them on a little at a time?
So luckily, as a sous chef, I get to put a lot of my dishes on the menu, which was an amazing feeling. It was something that I never really got to do before. But absolutely, my sous chef and I, Steven Skaggs, who I have known since I was 18, I actually brought him back on board. There was no one else that I wanted to run this with, but we're already working on our spring menu. We have amazing things that are going to be rolled out, quite a few actually. We're planning on changing close to 60-70% of the menu for this change. And that's what I'm most excited about, is I get to put my little footprint on this place.
So tease me, any themes, any ingredients that you're excited to work with, and just any vibes that you're feeling for spring of 2025?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done a lot of research into just what's the most fresh and most just best produce that we can find. We're doing a lot of research on seafoods as well that we want to bring on board. I'm looking at this amazing salmon, just little things here and there, new vegan options. So we love being inclusive to all the vegans, vegetarians, gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever you can think of. I always make sure that we have plenty of options on my menu for them. So just like a little teaser for my vegan option, I'm going to be doing a black bean fritter, almost like a hush puppy, with a creamy dill pickle ranch dressing, but all vegan. So something a little different that you might not see, anywhere else. Yeah. But little things like that is what I've been working on right now.
Cool. Okay, so those are the new things that are coming. If you look at the menu today, and somebody came in here, they'd never been here before, is there a classic dish? Is there a signature dish? Is there a dish that you really feel like this speaks to, because you've been here for a while, so is there something that you say, this really speaks to the identity of Main Street Provisions?
I can think of 3. It's hard to narrow it down. I think our short rib dumpling, it's been on the menu since Chef Justin was around. We've tweaked it a little bit here and there, but people love it. I love it. It's delicious. It's unique. I've never seen anything like it before. I think our MSP burger, it's just a classic. It's a gem. It's delicious. I would not change a single thing about it. And also my personal favorite, which I think really speaks to our new American and steakhouse emphasis vibe, is our pork chop. Our tomahawk pork chop. We're doing caribou right now, but it's served with barbecue red lentils and pickled asparagus. So you get this classic, beautiful 16-ounce pork chop, delicious, but then kind of like this barbecue lentil pickled asparagus, which is like what? But you taste it, it's absolutely phenomenal. Love everything about it.
Well, Chef, Ben, thanks so much for just introducing yourself to me and to my listeners, and I can't wait to get in and try some new dishes.
I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me. Please come try my food.
The news is next. This is Food and Loathing.
By now you know about Neon Feast, the app that serves up Las Vegas restaurant recommendations, not from self-appointed influencers hustling for free meals or flame from disgruntled diners. Neon Feast gives you suggestions based on our conversations with Vegas restaurant pros, the chefs, managers, owners, writers, bloggers, and others who make this industry great. What kind of food do you want? What part of the valley? How much to spend? What's the occasion? Ask Neon Feast and get the answers. Also check for restaurant news and in-depth features at Neon News. We have you covered with the Neon Feast app and neonfeast.com. And for restaurant news you can use, neonnews.vegas. It's time for the news.
News. Ferraro's has several new promotions going on. A pre-theater menu, an extended happy hour, and at the latest edition of their series of wine dinners, which is going to happen on March 1st. I sat down with Mimmo Ferraro to discuss all 3, and here is that discussion. Chef, I understand you have a new pre-theater menu going on here at Ferraro's. What can you tell me about that?
So February 1st, we actually just extended our hours, so we were closed in between lunch and dinner. So February 1st, we just kind of stayed open from 11:30 until 10:30 p.m., our last seating, and just really trying to get that pre-theater crowd in here between 4 and 6 o'clock. So we have a 4-course, great offering. So 4-course dinner for $65. Great options as far as entrees, little pasta combination course as well, a couple appetizers to choose from as well, and it's been very well received. We are seeing those early diners and, not really trying to do like a early bird type thing and kind of cheapen it down, but it's a great pre-show. We do a lot of business from like the Sphere early on, and the Virgin across the street is doing some things as well as far as shows go. So, just trying to get that early crowd in here between 4 and 6.
Awesome. And obviously people ask, I'm assuming every time I sit down, it's like, do you have someplace to be tonight, right? So you make sure you get everybody out so they don't miss that curtain call, right?
Absolutely. And, and with that, we extended our happy hour as well. So we were doing happy hour from 5 to 7. And because we're staying open straight through, happy hour pretty much starts at 3:30 now, right after the dinner hour. And great happy hour menu, 25% off all the drinks at the bar, including bottles of wine. So it's a great spot to be, and the crowd is getting earlier and earlier, and we like that. It just kind of sets the night in motion.
Cool. And I know you have a lot of wine dinners coming up, but you have one coming up in March that's really special. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Absolutely. So we have the wine dinner in March. It's actually March 1st, and it is a San Leonardo wine dinner. The menu is fantastic. It's going to be priced at $250 per person, but Marchese Anselmo, so he's a royalty, part of the royal family over there with being Marchese, and he'll be here. He is the owner of the winery and helps in the winemaking as well. So San Leonardo dinner, one of my dad's favorite wines. It's just a great winery, and it's going to be a good event. And at $250, it is very, very reasonably priced. I mean, it should be much more than that, but we're just honored to have royalty in at the restaurant, and great wines and great food pairings.
How many courses is that, and have you started thinking about the pairings yet?
So the menu is set, and it is online. It's 5 courses with dessert. So I think we're pouring 7 wines for the dinner and 5 courses. So just spectacular. Gonna do some little braised beef cheek and just great menu.
And I don't have any dates yet, but the name is largely emblazoned on the building, so you can't miss it. We're getting a Cafe Landwehr in Boca Park in the old Chinglish space. I know last year we had talked to the folks over at D'Agostino's. We were hoping they were going to go in there. So I had to look up Cafe Landwehr. I'd not heard of it before.
Yeah, and the D'Agostino's people had told me a while ago that they weren't going to go in there. I should mention.
So I did some peeking, and they seem to be, this iteration is from Santa Monica, but their history goes back as far as Berlin in 1919. It's owned by what was Israel's first coffee company.
Okay.
And so they turned it into cafes and coffee and things like that. The menu seems to have a large breakfast and brunch offering, as well as separate menus for lunch and dinner. They have what I would consider pretty typical fare based on these descriptions I've given you, including Benedicts with harissa and shakshukas. One point of contention on the menu is that when they pluralize a word, they use an apostrophe, and that drives me nuts.
Fired.
But the food does look interesting. The history sounds really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. As soon as we have dates and people, we'll see if we can talk to them some more.
Okay, I should also mention they just dropped the dates for Three Squares Restaurant Week this year.
Yes.
It's going to be June 2nd to June 13th, 2025.
Well, as this episode drops, Hot Nudes by Chinglish has been open for about a day. The new offering from Ken and Kitty Heck is part of that new gorgeous expansion of the casino at El Cortez.
Cool.
Yeah, the space has been, a pizza place, a coffee shop, who knows what else over the years. It was been transformed into a very contemporary casino space without sacrificing any of the existing, I would say, classic casino that runs around
vibe,
the corner.
Man.
Yeah.
The ghosts. You don't want to ship the ghosts out when you remodel.
Old school vibe with all the new big, tall slot machines that are multicolored. With the dark room and all that color, it's a sensory overload. If you're autistic, don't go in there. But
You're going for the
I
opening,
love that.
right, man?
Is it what?
You're going for the opening, which will have happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
We will report next week about the hot nudes and everything else and whatever I lost playing video poker at the new casino.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Oh, and this one just popped into my inbox, so let's make sure we get this in here. We've been waiting, actually, on news for the new seafood restaurant coming to Wynn Las Vegas ever since Lakeside closed. So I'm looking at this, brand new press release. The restaurant will be called Pisces Bar and Seafair, coming to Wynn Las Vegas this spring. Distinctive cuisine of the Mediterranean coast in a stunningly designed space with dark layered interiors, blah, 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 blah. Here's the part that's catching my attention now, and by the time we speak next, I will have more on this. But executive chef Martin Hirling, okay? And if you don't remember Martin, he ran wow, where Royal Mars Harvest was recently. Harvest is still there. Martin ran a place called Sensi in the Bellagio, and it was fucking fantastic. That's where they designed that gorgeous room for, and he's been out of there for a long time. So he's now going over to Wynn. And yeah, this is, like I said, you don't want to see me trying to could go through a press release any further right here. But so there's that news. We'll have more for you next week.
Well, I mean, I think
we got
all of it this
yeah.
week, and we threw a lot in there. Thanks to Ellie Parker, thanks to Mimmo Ferraro, and, thank you to all of you. On behalf of Rich Johnson and Al Mancini, I'm Samantha Gemini Stevens, reminding you to always stay hungry.